Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Perry Bush back with us from Bluffton University. We're talking a little bit about kind of a year in review, if you will, in politics, specifically President Biden's agenda. One of those, he's had, as you said, he's had some ups and downs, obviously, with getting that agenda through. The initial one, obviously, the COVID relief package, and that went through. I think everybody kind of agreed on that, most of them anyway.
Yeah, it was a remarkable outpouring of federal dollars to help with the pandemic, 1.9 trillion, Jeff. And then, he followed that with the big infrastructure relief package that he signed into law in October. And by normal standards in normal years, of course, that would be a pretty stunning record of presidential success for the first year in office. But the president's poll numbers have been declining precipitously. They've dropped by 20 points his inauguration. Now he's at like 41%. And that's raising all sorts of alarm bells for his administration, and also hampering his ability to get work done and get further parts of his agenda through. It's not a good political time for the president, and he's got to do something to reverse this slide.
You know, you bring up a good point, because I've heard experts say in the past, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or a Republican, your poll numbers are going to be pretty lousy if people feel lousy about their lives at that time, and obviously with the pandemic going on.
Yeah.
How much do you attribute to what he's doing or not doing, and what's just kind of going on in their lives?
Well, it's hard to imagine any president. I mean, you put FDR in there, or LBJ or Lincoln, people are not feeling good about themselves and where the country's going. There's this fundamental barometer that pollsters use about this country on the right track or the wrong track. And oftentimes, Jeff, that correlates pretty clearly to a president's reelection prospects. Now, it's way too early for that for Biden, but only 38% of Americans think the country's on the right track. I mean, and for all sorts of good reasons. You just mentioned them. I mean, we're being hit by a third variant of this horrible virus that has, killed, 800,000 Americans now? I just read this Wall Street Journal had a report. American life expectancy has dropped the greatest amount, almost 2 years, the greatest drop it's had since World War II. I mean, life expectancy is going down. I mean, holiday gatherings, sports events are all being canceled. And this is 2 years into this. Americans are just, what's the old phrase, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's not translating into kind of a political momentum for Biden. Obviously, he went on national television this week, doing his best to, have 1 billion free testing kits. He's going to try to pop up vaccination centers. But, it's like people hearing, same old, and this thing is hitting us again. And of course, on one hand, it's like, the best of times, worst of times for Biden. The economy is booming, of all the ironies, right? Oliver Cox of the Washington Post had a recent piece that, Biden's policies are popular, but it's not translating into support for him personally. And it's kind of an irony. He doesn't. What did you imagine that the late night at the White House running? What more can we do? But look, I mean, inflation. On one hand, workers gains are up, productivity is up, the economy's booming, wages are up, but this inflation rate is now eating away at those gains. So he's facing some real tough political headwinds.
The Capitol Riot Commission is obviously throwing out some subpoenas to folks. We hear Jim Jordan's name. They want to talk to him. Do you think most of those that were, involved at that time are going to do the same thing and pull back and say, listen, the ex-president doesn't want me to do that?
Yeah, I expect they will. I mean, I don't think they want to talk. They're thinking of reasons why they can't talk or won't talk or shouldn't talk. And that's generally been Trump's approach to most political trouble he's been in, just kind of run out the clock. Figured he'll just throw up some noise and throw up more barriers and file more lawsuits, and pretty soon the public will get tired of it and their attention will waver and they'll think, well, that's yesterday's news, let's move on. And given all the other things that are competing for their attention, like, the holidays and this ongoing sense of national crisis, maybe it's a good strategy. It's unfortunate, however, that the public has every right, of course, to get to the bottom of that event that happened on January 6th. And of course, the year in respectives, that's going to be the anniversary that's coming up. And maybe that will create some public pressure to get folks there. Let's figure out what happened. It was a major assault on American democracy. First time the Capitol's been sacked since the War of 1812. Hundreds of people have now been arrested. It would be nice to hear some cooperation from folks who have some questions to answer.
Just a couple seconds left. Do you think the Democrats convinced Joe Manchin to get on board the latest bill?
Oh, I think in the end, I mean, I said it here last month, I think in the end they will get something through. Manchin's closely attuned to the politics of his state. And on one hand, there's stuff in there larded with blue states, and Biden's climate plan in some ways is Manchin's taking a hard look at that from a coal mining state. On the other hand, I mean, it's the bill is loaded with stuff that will help West Virginians. I mean, West Virginia is a poor state. This is a poverty relief bill. West Virginians would benefit from that bill, and you'd hope that they could, Manchin would work with them to carve out the parts he doesn't like and get the parts he does, and Biden can sign that bill. There's still hope for optimism, but as a major blow that Manchin blow that bill. We'll see what happens in the new year.
All right, Dr. Bush, happy holidays to you and yours. Appreciate your perspective as always.
Happy holidays to you and the viewers, Jeff. Good to be with you as always.
Nice talking with you. We'll be back right after this.